What makes me feel connected to my culture? I'm mixed. My mom's side is Mexican and my dad's family is black, and they're from Georgia. And my mom's side is Mexico, Laredo, and it's generally very different. And I'm just the connections I have is music. I play different instruments. I tend to go to this one place called the Sahara Lounge. I was talking about with T last night, and they have this one night on Saturdays where it's African night, and they have the kora, which is one of my favorite instruments as of late, and it's something that you can lose yourself in, and I each culture has their distinctive thing that everybody can relate to, but it doesn't have to be said. So that's something I think.
I would like to add on to how I feel connected with my culture. I'm also mixed. I'm black and Hispanic. And I think with my situation, I grew up, I would say mainly with my black side of my family. And I did not feel as connected with like being Hispanic. And I didn't really identify as Hispanic until I like immersed with, I would say, not predominantly, but a more cultural inclusive friend group, because I went to predominantly white school throughout elementary to high school, so I was still in a predominantly white area. And I think just including myself with people who identify how I identify, if that makes sense.
I'm also mixed Mexican. I'm half Mexican, half white. And I found that what really helps me connect to my Mexican culture is big family gatherings. My Mexican family definitely gets together a lot and in a lot grander of a fashion than my white side of the family. And it's usually for celebrations or the music's a big part of it. I think that's a really powerful idea. Music really does help me connect to my culture and to other cultures. But gatherings are the main one.
I believe it's important for students to play a role because administrators are always going to have the broad view, and they're not living in the teenager's mind, so they might pick something where the rest of us are all like, that seems kind of old. Essentially, it's about age and the generational balance. Especially planning like my school's events, my administrator gave me a handout and I was like, why are there only like Ruby Bridges or MLK? Like, why can't we use Barack Obama or someone like a recent motivational African American leader? Yes, thank you. So really just having input and what students could connect to, it might make it more intriguing to be involved in within the school.
Honestly, I think that having the student voice is a fundamental, like it's a necessity, especially because in education, it's centered around the student need. And when teachers or staff or, educators think that they know best for students and they try to plan everything for them, it may not actually be the best for them. And so having their input may be the best way to get their perspective, especially since they're going to be the next generation. And eventually, like, they'll be the ones, like, teaching the next gen of students. So, yeah.
I would say it's important for students to have a role in planning Black history and celebration in school, because we are currently history. They're still first, like the first woman to do this, the first Black man to do this, and we're currently history, and we're always changing things. So I think it's important for students to always put in their impact, and yeah.
I think we celebrate Black History Month because we have come a long way. We've made a lot of progress, and so it's something that should be celebrated because it wasn't easy. I think it's important to all races because it's not just a for Black people. I think every race should be included because it's not, like I said, it's not only for Black. Everyone should feel it, and see the progress being made. It's not a barrier we only broke, but I feel like everyone together, we're doing better to make it a better place, you know.
Well, I think Black History Month is important to all Americans just because Black history is history. History up until now has had a problem of being taught from a predominantly white perspective, really minimizing the effect that all cultures, all races of people have had on creating not only America but the world itself.
And I agree with that so much, actually. And it's just so important that, for me, I feel like American history is also some big part of Black history in general, because we played such a big part in the makings of America. Like with slavery up to just political movements itself, the Black Panther Party in general. And that's such a big part in history that people tend to forget it's in itself. And it's just ignorance whenever people don't decide to learn about that, because that is American history. That's the foundation, that's the makings. So
I think that it's important to discuss hard or challenging history because ignorance in this world is growing like fast. And the only way to stop ignorance is to have those hard conversations. You know, because like in a classroom, that uncomfortable feeling that a white person might feel for 45 minutes or an hour 35, a Black student is feeling during their whole high school experience, you know? So that's why I think it's important.
Or when they look at you when you're talking about
Yeah.
Black History Month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially being, most of the time, if you go to a predominantly white school, the only Black kid in the classroom.
I think it is important to discuss hard or challenging history because if we didn't, then it wouldn't be talked about. Unfortunately, so much of history, especially history like relating to Black culture, is overlooked. It's not seen as important, and unfortunately, it's not taught to us. There's so many names that I've never heard of in the classroom that I had to go seek out myself, and I think that that's a shame. And I feel like if we don't learn about the past, then there's no way that we can move forward, and then there's also no way that we can look at the systems of oppression now and start to dismantle them.
I would like to add, I think it's not, like, it's hard for Americans in general to accept the bad parts that have happened, that have shaped how we are today. They don't want to accept that America was not always great and it will not always be great when there's all these problems that they're just shoving down and not actually trying to fix. They're just turning a side eye to it. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree. It can be challenging to discuss history because people don't want to face uncomfortable truths about the past and about how America became what it is. But without acknowledging the problematic, the problematic history that brought us to where we are today, we can't learn from the mistakes of the past and move on into a future with less, blatant wrongdoing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in, ignoring all these, very hard to accept truths of America, it kind of just makes us go in this loop where it's just like, oh, we can do this thing, but wait, we can't because, the history of that thing is bad. We can't, learn from it, we can't grow, and we can't move past it ultimately.
Some people just don't want to accept that it happened. They just want to think everything is perfectly fine, that nothing happened, they were all great, which is not true.
I just think people just don't think it's as important as other events that have happened. I just think that people think that certain things are more important than others, and if we don't express them, then it's not really a big problem.